where is this all going? Let's be very clear about where the MAGA cult leaders, the ones that are surrounding Trump, want to take this country. And for those of you that don't want to believe this, you don't have to believe me. You can go research this and you can go find it yourself. It's buried into the 800 or so pages of Project 2025. It's been in there the whole time. Those of us that actually read that document a year and a half ago and have been following and reading along as we've been following what's going on in this country, it's been playing out almost step by step. So they want the population of the United States at about 100 million people. Does that include you? Does that include me? Probably not, because I'm outspoken and I'm not going to shut up about what this administration is currently doing. I'm not going to stop talking about it, because I'm not going to sit back and watch as this country turns into a eugenics-based neo-Nazi bullshit country. I'm not going to do it. I swore an oath to the Constitution of this country, and I'm aware of the legacy of racism that was embedded into the Constitution, and I'm aware of the legacy of racism that was embedded into all of the things that this country has done up until this point. And it continues to fester like an open sore that has never been healed properly. I'm aware of it all. I'm aware of the fact that after the Civil War, those generals and the people that actually made the Confederacy possible were never held accountable. That's why their names are on bases. That's why General Lee, the main leader of the Confederacy, was allowed to go on and retire out at a college somewhere teaching people. There's a reason why we never actually addressed the systemic racism that was embedded into how slavery was allowed. And we're seeing the legacies of it still today. From the red line districts and how after World War II, the minority communities were completely left out of the wealth gains in this country that were created by the massive amount of influx of people being able to buy homes through the VI or the VA GI bills of the time. We're seeing all of these things play out, from the Jim Crow laws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could spend days talking about these things, but the point is this. The embedded racism in this country is the reason why this administration is getting away with what they're getting away with right now. And if you don't understand it, you don't have to go back very far. You can go back to the 80s and 90s, when the Nixon administration leading into the Reagan administration, minus the few years of the Carter administration, because they did everything they could to hamstring him. During that era of the 80s, 70s into the 80s and 90s, when it became the norm for our government to fund the Iran-Contra rebels in order to create this paradigm that they were creating, where drugs were infiltrating into the inner cities, and they created this war on drugs, and they labeled all the minority communities, specifically the black community, into drug dealers, criminals, sexual deviants. They labeled the hippies into deviants and drug addicts and everything else. And they deliberately targeted the communities that were not in line with what they believed was the American family unit. That's what they did, deliberately and intentionally. And in doing so, they made it illegal and completely tried to eradicate the minority communities in the inner cities. And they did it by targeting the males from those communities. And then the Clintons came along. And so for all you assholes that keep telling me that the Democrats are going to stand up for us and are going to fight for us and blah, 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 you're an idiot. I'm sorry, but you are. The Clintons were the reason why the for-profit prison system was created. That's their legacy in this country. Whether you want to admit it or not, they were in on the shtick. So first we created a huge volume of people that we made into criminals by flooding the inner cities with drugs. And then we locked them all up in for-profit prisons and we monetized that. Now you fast forward 20, 30 years, and we're doing the exact same thing with detention facilities. And we're targeting mostly the men in these communities in order to eliminate the ability for these communities to procreate and to challenge the status quo of white America. It's eugenics. It's what it all boils down to. Money, and power used to enforce this eugenics bullshit. And the really twisted part of it to me is that you have this huge conglomerate of Christian nationalists, which for all intents and purposes are really white nationalists, that don't even follow the teachings of the person that they claim is their Lord and Savior. Do you see how ridiculous this all is? You've got a group of people, specifically the evangelical community, and I forget which branch of the Christian community has this special little prayer you can say, and as long as you say that prayer, nothing else you do matters because you're saved. Show me where that's in the Bible, for God's sakes. And don't even get me started on all the contradictions in the Bible. But if you're going to claim you're a Christian and you're going to vilify and monetize the human suffering of people that look more like your Lord and Savior than they do you, you are a fake, hypocritical piece of shit. Period. And I don't care if people like that statement or not. I don't care if people like me or not. I'm not here for people to give me accolades. I'm not even here to monetize this account. I'm not part of this rewards program bullshit through TikTok. I'm not interested. I'm interested in having real conversations about how we fix this damn country before it's too late. Because what I'm seeing is an ethnic cleansing starting to look more and more like what they're doing to the Palestinians in Gaza. I'm seeing more and more where they are vilifying and denigrating, and now we've got people wearing swag for a detention facility that looks like a concentration camp. This is the America that we are in right now. Meanwhile, we're going to give a billions and billions of dollars budget to the organization that is creating and functioning as this neo-Nazi secret police, wearing masks, terrorizing communities, deporting people, even denaturalizing people. Do you understand that? They're taking away citizenship from people that were here legally. So first it was they're all rapists and murderers. Then it's they're eating the dogs and cats. Now it's, well, these people should have never been citizens in the first place. We're going to take that away from them. Do you understand where this is going yet? Are you paying attention yet? Are you seeing what is coming? Because their intention is not to stop. Once this machine gets going, it's really hard to stop it. And that's the part that should be truly terrifying to every single American out there. Anybody that swore an oath to this Constitution should be absolutely infuriated, because the service and sacrifice that I made and the service and sacrifice that others have made in the uniform for this country to defend and protect freedom and democracy and the foundations of civil liberties is being absolutely violated and just shredded under this administration. And think about how much money they are pouring into this dehumanizing, disgusting system, where they could have spent that money and actually created a functional system for citizenship. They could have created a system where children are actually being represented in the process of immigration. No, instead, they're just ripping those children out of foster homes. Foster homes. They're taking away food from kids in school. They're taking away health care from a vast portion of this country, and all at the same time rewarding billionaires that are funding this campaign. This entire administration being brought to you by billionaires and mega corporations. Do you not understand? They are not going to stop until they get rid of everybody they see less than. They're not going to stop. It's going to continue to escalate, get worse and worse and worse unless we start intervening. So here's my action plan. If I see anybody wearing masks anywhere around me and they're all dressed up in camo pretending to be a paramilitary unit, I'm calling 911. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to stick around and make sure that when the police get there, there's a confrontation happening. Because this shit is not okay. I'm going to help people report ICE and these other programs that I see happening. I'm going to continue to be outspoken on how we can organize and collectively get things done, because I still have my freedom and I'm going to use it until my dying breath, if that's what it takes. I am not going to sit back and watch this country become the 1930s and 1940s Germany. It's not going to happen while I'm breathing.
Shalom, shalom. Before I get this lesson started, 10 minutes in, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone of whom I learned from. And a shalom to the 144,000 chosen, taking this truth to the four corners of the earth, bidding the elect spirits of Yasharallah to the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is your, who is Yahushai? This is your brother Radah. With another report, I wanted to let that guy speak all the way. He said a mouthful, didn't he? What is the answer, though? He doesn't have an answer. He said a lot of intelligent and genuinely factual things. I'm not harping on that. That's why I let the video play all the way through. The problem with people like this is they do not have the answers in prophecy. Who is as the wise man? And I really like using this precept right now, because we have to interpret, we have to know the interpretation of a thing. And the only ones who can interpret the thing, the only ones who have the, so there's not multiple different interpretations. There's one interpretation. There was one, in fact, let me read this really quick. Ecclesiastes 8:1. Who is as the wise man? Who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? And a man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. Now let's get two other precepts. Joseph interprets the dream. Joseph interprets the dream, and also Daniel, right? I spelled it wrong, my bad. So look, this is Joseph in jail. He Genesis 40:5. And they dreamed the dream, both of them, each man his dream, in one night, each man. And these were two government officials. They were officials that served Pharaoh. So they represent a realistic form of authority. These weren't just random men, they worked for the Pharaoh. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. The butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came into them in the morning, and looking upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to the Most High, to power? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it had budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days, yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner when thou was his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. Get me out of here. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. And just like he was stolen, so have we been stolen, you guys. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. And in the upper basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off of thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, And he gave the cup to Pharaoh's hand, but he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Now this would go on. I think 2 years goes by, and Pharaoh has a dream, and the guy that was restored remembers, and they send for Joseph, and Joseph interprets the Pharaoh's dream. What is the interpretation of a thing? Let's go to Daniel real quick. Daniel interprets the dream, right? And none of the wise men were able to interpret, right? Hold on, let's go back to the beginning so we can show the intensity. And in the second year of, okay, this is Daniel chapter 2, Salakia. And in the second year of the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, he dreamed a dream wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans. Now, these are the real deal, you guys. These are not just random names. These men have power on the left-hand side. They would not be in the office or in the court of King Nebuchadnezzar, because King Nebuchadnezzar was a real deal king. He wasn't bogus. In fact, he was such a real deal king, he understood the intensity of the dream that he had, that he couldn't remember, and he wanted and needed the interpretation of it, and he could not remember. So this is why he's so desperate in getting the interpretation, which also shows you his level of wisdom and understanding, that he knew he needed that. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dream. So they came and stood before the king, and the king said unto him, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. They answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of a certainty that you would gain the time, because ye see that the thing is gone from me. But if you will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. So you can see that King Nebuchadnezzar wasn't a bitch, man. He's a real deal, bro. For ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can show me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before and you got to understand that these guys are also the real deal, because America, the left-hand power of America, the upper echelon, the Lucifer, the 1% ruling families, the banking families, those families, those Edomites, those Amalekites who traffic in human blood, the feast of blood mentioned in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12. Okay, they operate in these ancient practices. They are called today the beauty of the Chaldeans' glory, or the glory of the beauty of the beauty of the Chaldeans. That's one of their spiritual nicknames in the prophecies of Scripture. They are likened unto these people, and the Chaldeans were known for their skill in their witchcrafts on their left-hand side. So the Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such a thing at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. And so this is the Most High flexing his strength on the right-hand side. But he's qualifying it by the authenticity of the left-hand side. You have to understand that these guys are the real deal on the left-hand side. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can show it before the king, except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. To make a long story short, the word gets back to the prophet Daniel. Daniel prays. He asks Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to pray, and Yahweh gives him the interpretation. Daniel gets the interpretation. He tells the king, don't kill the men, don't kill your left-handed, your magicians. I got the interpretation for you. And he breaks down an extremely powerful dream that lists the four beast rulerships that would come to rule in the earth, which is it's magnificent what he's given. But that's the interpretation. What I said, all of that to say this. Again, who is as the wise men? Now come back. Now this is King Solomon, the son of David, that we know is Yahushua and one of his lots. Look at this. This is a dark saying because it implies having wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and you have to have wisdom because it is wisdom who expounds dark sentences. Wisdom is the one who expounds dark sentences. Ecclesiastes 8:1, who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing. A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. Now go back to this.
So where is this all going?
Everybody sees what's happening, right? This dude actually gives a very detailed historical charge. This is a what's the word? If we were having court, this guy would make a really great witness. His tongue is falling upon themselves, like it says. He's either a Jake, he's either a speckled bird, he's either an Israelite that looks like an Edomite, or he's the fulfillment of this prophecy, right? And there's many of them that are doing this. Their own tongues shall fall upon themselves. This is what's happening. Everything that man said, he listed case upon case, very detailed, of all the crimes against humanity, the wicked practices, the unrepentant wickedness of the rulership of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He didn't mention another race at all. He didn't mention China. He didn't mention, I don't know, the Middle East. He didn't mention Arabs. He didn't mention anybody but the Edomites, you guys. And he gave a very detailed historical list of the crap they've done that you don't hear spoken about in the media the way he was describing it. A first-hand witness, man. Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. That's what's happening. What is happening, you guys? We are entering into the day of the Lord. Okay, Joel. Let's go. Joel, I believe it's Joel 2. I want to go into Joel 2. Actually, hold on. Yeah, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm on my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. What is this? This is Yahweh Shabbat. This is Armageddon. This is the Mount of Troops. He is gathering everyone. But before the gathering, Jacob's trouble also has to be the beginning stages of it, right? And the mark of the beast, right? The digital awe, the crashing of the dollar, and all chaos breaking out on in America. Verse 2, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds, of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. It's talking about the ICBM missiles, the armory that has been prepared by the smith, the information that the Most High gave the Edomites to kill himself with his own weapon. The ICBM missiles, the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Talking about America. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as of the appearance of horses, and a horseman, so they shall run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained, all faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march every one in his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. What is this talking about? This is talking about the missile defense system not being able to stop the re-entering into the atmosphere and then coming and hitting the target of the ICBM missiles that are launched on America. There is going to be no golden dome. There's not going to be no iron dome. That's all bullshit, man. Prophecy says so. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the walls. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in all the windows like a thief. Complete consumption, complete overcoming, complete overwhelming. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark. Why? Because of the fallout. And the stars shall withdraw their shining. This is all because of the fallout, the destroying wind. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army. For his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Okay, and this is for the elect, the hopefully elected Israelites. Verse 12. Therefore also now saith Yahweh, turn ye even to me with all your hearts, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. That's only for the elect. This is a very small group of people on the earth. And rend your hearts and not your garments, and turn unto Yahweh your power, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil. Who knoweth if he will turn and repent and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto Yahweh our power. Blow the trumpet in Zion. It's talking about your hopeful elect. Sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Okay? So this is what's happening, right? We're going into this. Again, what else is happening? Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is the beginning stages of Yahweh Shabbat. We're just going to read the first 7 or 8. This is what's happening, you guys. Jeremiah 30. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord Yahweh, the power of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people. It means to turn it around. And Judah, I will bring again the captivity of my people. Israel, that's your northern kingdom, and Judah, that's your southern kingdom. Your northern kingdom consists of your Latinos, your Native Americans, and your southern kingdom is your so-called blacks, your Jamaicans, your Haitians, and stuff like that, right? Saith Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. Now, 1/3 of these 1/3 of the northern kingdom and 1/3 of the southern kingdom. The other 2/3 are going to be destroyed in Jacob's trouble and in Yahweh Shabbat. Okay? And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. Notice how it keeps mentioning the northern kingdom first, and then the southern kingdom. Who's being attacked right now? The northern kingdom is being attacked right now. In the form of what? The accusations of Esau, written by law, accusing them of being migrants and rapists and criminals. And he said he was going to deport them. But what does the word God say? Don't trust your enemy. His words were like oil, because he always breaks his covenants. He always breaks his word. He never speaks the truth. And now we see that they are murdering these people. They're not sending them back home. They want to put them in concentration camps. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard the voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins? This is going to start happening. As the shit gets worse, as shit gets crazier, people are going to start to fucking freak out. And I do see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day, this day that's coming, is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And he that shall be saved out of it are the hopeful elect. Let's read another one. I believe it's 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras. Let me see if I can try to they shall feed them. Let me see. They shall feed them. They shall feed them. Let me see. They shall, and burning wrath, the great multitude is kindled. They shall take away certain of you. Yes, okay. So look, this is describing a concentration camp. 2nd Esdras, 1668. 15 and 16. Really, you guys? 2nd Esdras? If you guys have not read 2nd Esdras, the whole book is amazing. 2nd Esdras 15 and 16 is really a detailed two detailed chapters of what we're about to enter into. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. Who is this great multitude? It's talking about the top 1%, which is funding your Joe Six-Pack Edomites, ICE, to come after us. And they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered to idols. That's explaining a concentration camp. Okay, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Consent. Don't give in to don't give in to taking the mark, right? Honestly, you don't want to get into an exchange too crazy. You don't want to trust in your guns, but you don't just want to give up and give yourself over to them, because it's not going to end well. And if you do get caught, understand that that's your lot, and you're going to be a martyr death, but you ain't got to talk. And if the Most High opens your mouth, if Yahweh Shai opens your mouth, then so be it. Let what comes out of your mouth be the new song. You see what I'm saying? But this is not going to be good. So here we go. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. This is them coming after us, you guys. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Next verse. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. This is what's about to stop. This is what's about to start happening. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold is in the fire. This is our test. We're going to stand firm, but this is the interpretation of the thing. It's not about, remember, Jacob's trouble is not about surviving. It's not about staying alive. Oh my God. It's about coming through as pure gold, understanding that it is the judgment of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai in the earth, Yahweh Shaphat, and it is the trying time of the 1/3 elect. We have to go through this tribulation right before we get our salvation. But understand that Yahweh Shai is coming. Second Ezra 13. He's coming on a chariot, a so-called UFO, right? Because once Jacob's trouble starts, it's not going to be long before Yahweh Shai cracks that. It might be, Jacob's trouble might last a few years, you guys. I don't think it's going to last a couple months. I think it's going to be some years. But it's not going to be long, but at least you know, like it says in Jeremiah 30, they shall be saved out of it, talking about the hopeful elect. Look at 2 Ezra 13. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, talking about the firmament up in the sky, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man, this is Yahweh Shai, waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. That's talking about the other hosts, the other angels in chariots. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Now, this is all the armies that are assembled on the ground in the Levant, over in that region for Yahweh Shaphat, for Armageddon. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth failed when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heavens to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. There goes your father's ship, a great chariot, a.k.a. UFO. But I would have seen the region or place whereof the hill was graven, and I could not. Why? It's so big, he can't see the edge of it. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which gather together, your ICE, your militaries, all your other nations, your heathen nations, Psalms 83, lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him. They think they're going to, this is your Space Force. This is all the funding of the 1% families and pumping into these indoctrinated army people, thinking that they're going to fucking stop Yahweh Shai from taking back his planet and sitting on the throne of David. Together to subdue him, were sore afraid, yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. This is the interpretation of a thing. The interpretation of all of this is Yahushua has to come back and remove Esau's teeth. He's got to take his claws and his teeth out of his fucking mouth. Because what happens when you take the claw? When you take the claws out of a cat, when you take the claws or the teeth out of a wild animal, what can it do to you? Have you ever seen lions that are in captivity and they take the claws out? So the lion still has teeth, but he has no claws. Without his claws, he can't control you. He can't grab a hold of you and hold you down. He can't even hold you. It's basically like him not having any fingers. Plus, the claws they can rip veins and arteries, and you can bleed the fuck out. Horns, teeth, claws in the animal kingdom make you an apex predator. Look at all the animals that have teeth in the ocean, all the animals on the ground that have teeth, horns, and claws, and then look at all the animals that don't have teeth and claws, or don't have fangs, or you know what I'm saying, or claws. They're food. Esau's teeth and claws are his military, right? Yahushua has to come and take the fucking teeth and claws out this motherfucker, bro. That's the interpretation of the thing. It's not voting. It's not trying to get the country back. America has to be burned and destroyed because of the amount of blood of the Hebrew Israelites that Esau has shed in this land, that the only way to cleanse the land is for their blood to be shed. That has to happen. And these people that are talking,
let's be very clear.
They're making excellent points. This dude, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not here to talk shit about this man. I used this video because he did an excellent job at pointing out the endless amount of wickedness of his own people. He doesn't mention another race, you guys. He's a good tool. I used him because you can't accuse us of, he's not a so-called black dude. He's not a so-called Mexican. He's not even a fucking a so-called white fucking nationalist. He looks the way he's carried himself, the way he spoke for 10 minutes. He is your fucking your husband, your father. He is a Joe Sixpack Edomite dude that has observed shit his whole life. And he's coming to terms, he's being honest about shit. And all he spoke about was crime after wicked practice, after crime, after wicked practice of one specific people group and how it is affected. He pointed out the premeditations of that people group occupying another nation, then bringing drugs from that nation and funneling it in to the inner city in America, which is the Hebrew Israelites, and flooding our neighborhoods with drugs, and then accusing us, and then oppressing us by writing laws to police us, and then making money off of the prison population increase as a result. All at the same time, making us look like criminals and him like a righteous person, when that's not what righteousness is. Righteousness does not monetize sin. In fact, righteousness had to die and shed blood for sin. That's what Yahushua did. Yahushua doesn't make money off of transgression. Yet here you have Esau making billions of dollars and creating situations through systems of transgression. And this Edomite man, or Jake, is pointing that out. But he doesn't know the interpretation of a thing because he's not coming from a position of prophecy. What else is this man being used for to do? One more precept. We can go on, we can go all day. I will show the nations thy nakedness. Bam. Look, behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. Nakedness goes into transgression. Nakedness goes into your wickedness. Everything about the so-called white man is being exposed by his own people and by the prophets, by the Hebrew Israelites and history, and the other nations are rising up against him and pointing their finger at him and saying, this motherfucker's bad. But the interpretation of a thing is what prophecy says. And prophecy says Yahushua has to come and destroy this motherfucker. That's what has to happen. There's no talking. There's no getting the bad people out and getting a so-called new group of good people. No, the end of their nation, the end of their rulership has come. 2nd Ezra 6:9. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. This is the interpretation of this thing, you guys. This is what has to happen. America has to be destroyed. Lots of people are going to die. The quicker you understand this, what does it say? Wisdom shall be the stability of thy time. Wisdom shall be the stability. The stability. Because, why? Because you understand all the episodes to the movie. Because you read the scripts. Why do you think Hollywood calls a script? Why do you think it's called a script? It's based off what's in the Bible, you guys. Isaiah 33:6. And the wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. Us understanding prophecy and believing prophecy helps us in this place, you guys. So I pray that this lesson and this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rukagadash, and I'll give double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned from, and a shalom to the 144,000 chosen, taking this truth to the four corners of the earth, bidding the elect spirits of Yasharallah to the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is your brother Radah.
With drugs.
Shalom.
And then we locked them all up in for-profit prisons and we monetized. I'm sorry, but you are. The Clintons were the reason why the for-profit prison system was created. That's their legacy in this country. Whether you want to admit it or not, they were in on the shtick. So first we created a huge volume of people that we made into criminals by flooding the inner cities with drugs. And then we locked them all up in for-profit prisons and we monetized that. Now you fast forward 20, 30 years and we're doing the exact same thing with detention facilities. And we're targeting mostly the men in these communities in order to eliminate the ability for these communities to procreate and to challenge the status quo of white America.
Listen to what he's saying, man. Now, what he's saying, this is all heavy. This is going to be used in court. All of these videos that we do, this is all being taken by the angel. The angels take what we say, and it's offered up like a fragrance before the Most High, and it's all stored as evidence. It's all stored in the case, the inquisition that is being made. Let me see. I believe it's also in 2nd Ezra's. 2nd Ezra's Inquisition. Yeah. There it is. Look. So 2nd Ezra 6:19, and we'll begin to make. Let me go back one, and I'll pull the etymon on what Inquisition means. 2nd Ezra 6:18, and it said, "Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled." So you're dealing with the punishment of Zion. That's talking about the Hebrew Israelites, us, in our captivity. But you're also talking about the rulership of another people, or the them, and that is your Edomites. That is your so-called white men. Verse 20, "And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament." That's what's happening right now on the internet. That's what this is. The firmament, the internet signal is all over the firmament, up in the atmosphere, and you guys are able to see these videos that everybody is doing, all in different places of the planet Earth. And they shall see all together. And because of the internet, you guys have been able to see. So go back to what this guy is saying.
It's eugenics. It's what it all boils down to. Money and power used to enforce this eugenics bullshit. And the really twisted part of it to me is that you have this huge conglomerate of Christian nationalists, which for all intents and purposes are really white nationalists, that don't even follow the teachings of the person that they claim is their Lord and Savior.
Renaissance Western Christianity is the equivalent of when you see an Edomite going out into the forest wearing camouflage and painting his face green and covering himself in piss so he can look and smell like the environment. And then when he sends out a call, a duck call or a noise, he draws in the animal that he's trying to hunt. And when they get close enough to him because they can't see him and he smells like them, they're able to hit him with an arrow. That's all Christianity was. That the doctrine, because the Bible is true and the Apocrypha is true. The reason why they took the Apocryphal out is because it's so obvious that Esau is the eagle, that Rome is the eagle, that the Edomites are the eagle. There's too much. Plus you got the Greekish captivity, and you also see the Hellenizing of the southern kingdom, the Jews, when they became Gentiles. So all this confusion in Christianity has been able to hide Esau, because Christianity, Renaissance Christianity, never goes in the prophecy and never brings out who Esau Edom is. And then, of course, they covered over the face of the judges, and they made everything in the Bible, Yahweh Shai, the angels, look like Edomites. So the whole world was under the spell of these people being the chosen race, and they're not.
Do you see how ridiculous this all is? You've got a group of people, specifically the evangelical community, and I forget which branch of the Christian community has this special little prayer you can say, and as long as you say that prayer, nothing else you do matters because you're saved. Show me where that's in the Bible, for God's sakes. And don't even get me started on all the contradictions in the Bible. But if you're going to claim you're a Christian and you're going to vilify and monetize the human suffering of people that look more like your Lord and Savior than they do you, you are a fake, hypocritical piece of shit.
And I'm going to stop it there. Again, what is the interpretation of a thing? It's prophecy. And it's the correct and it's the correct understanding of prophecy, right? Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of the thing? The prophets, the men of the Lord, GMS, the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and everyone else who ascribes to that doctrine. They know the interpretation of the thing. I pray that this lesson was edifying. This is your brother Radah. Shalom.